Today, we're going to break down a really brilliant strategic concept, and it's all hidden inside a single, pretty dramatic hand of cards. We're going to see how holding the best cards, well, that doesn't always guarantee a win, not unless you know the secret to using them. Okay, let's get into it.
So, our whole story kicks off with this question, right? It's being thought up by a young bridge player named Timmy. He's at a seaside cottage, deep in a bridge book, and he's just read about this super rare tactic called the defensive rule of 4A. And, he's a little skeptical. He's thinking to himself, come on, who actually gets dealt all four aces?
Well, wouldn't you know it? As the cards for the very next hand are dealt, it seems like fate has a bit of a wicked sense of humor. It's about to answer Timmy's question in the most direct, most ironic way possible.
So Timmy picks up his hand, and he's got to be feeling pretty good. 15 high card points, a beautifully balanced hand. I mean, this is the kind of hand you dream of opening with. It's strong, it's flexible, it's exactly what the books tell you is perfect for a one-no-trump opening bid. And his partner, Andrew? He's looking at a really useful hand too. 9 points, solid support. It's a fantastic complement to what Timmy's holding. But take a close look at their combined hands. Do you notice what's missing? Not a single ace between them. And that's a crucial detail.
But here's where it gets really, really interesting. Let's look at what their opponent, the cool, experienced Uncle George, was holding. While Timmy and Andrew had a whole bunch of face cards, George was holding the keys to the entire kingdom. Yep, there it is. The mythical hand. All four aces. It's the kind of thing you might see once in a lifetime of playing cards. Just pure, unadulterated power. Absolute control.
All right, so the stage is set, right? We've got raw strength on one side versus absolute control on the other. The bidding begins. And as you can imagine, it gets intense fast. It's a strategic clash that's going to define the rest of this hand. So Timmy kicks things off with the standard one-note trump. George, sitting there with all four aces, immediately doubles. Now this isn't a normal bid, it's a penalty double. He's raising the stakes, telling his partner, hey, I've got these guys trapped. Andrew, of course, has no idea about the ace situation. He sees his 9 points and pushes for the game contract, 3-no trump. It's a totally reasonable bid based on their combined points. And George? He just calmly doubles again. He's basically saying, bring it on.
So this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Andrew's bid. With a solid 24 points between them, it looks pretty good on the surface. But without a single ace in their hands, was this a brave push for game? Or was it just a reckless gamble?
It's that classic bridge dilemma. They have the points, which means they should be able to win tricks. But they're missing the aces, the ultimate control cards. To make this thing work, they need every finesse to go their way and hope the opponent's cards are divided just perfectly. It's a textbook case of raw power versus strategic control.
Okay, let's get into the play. Because this is where Uncle George doesn't just play his powerful cards. He unleashes this incredibly subtle and absolutely devastating strategy that, well, Timmy is never going to forget. George's plan here is just brilliant. He starts exactly how you'd expect. He plays the ace of spades and wins the first trick. Easy. But then he does something totally counterintuitive. Instead of cashing another ace, he leads a low spade, deliberately giving the lead back to Timmy. Why would he do that? Because he's not just taking tricks, he's setting up a future winner. His whole plan is to use his other aces as entries, think of them like keys to a door, to get back in the lead at the exact right moment so he can cash that winning spade later on.
And the plan works. It works to perfection. Timmy fights as hard as he can, using his kings and queens to grab tricks, but it's just not enough. George's patient, strategic defense makes sure Timmy can only take 8 tricks, one short of the 9 he needed. The contract is defeated.
As that last card hits the table, Timmy is just sitting there in stunned silence. He knows he just saw something special. This wasn't just a loss, it was a masterclass in defensive card play.
And this is it. This is what he just witnessed. It's an actual, named strategy, the defensive rule of 4A3. The idea isn't to use your 4 aces to take 4 tricks. No, it's to use 3 of them as tools, as entries, to regain control so you can establish and then cash a 5th winning trick. 4 aces become 5 tricks. Genius. This chart really highlights the difference in thinking, right? The novice play? You cash all 4 aces immediately. Bang, bang, bang. 4 easy tricks. It feels powerful, but you just hand control of the game right back to your opponents. The expert play, the rule of 4A3, is all about finesse. It's about patience, timing, and turning pure power into strategic dominance.
And Uncle George just nails it with this explanation. It's not about taking what's obviously yours right away. It's about looking at your hand and seeing the potential to create something even better, and then having the discipline to see that plan through.
So this whole experience leaves Timmy with this one huge, burning question. Can you possibly win a huge contract when you and your partner are missing every single top card? Let's break down how this whole crazy situation even happened. So our story starts with a player we're going to call Timmy. He picks up his hand, and his opening move, it's totally normal. I mean, completely by the book. On the surface, you'd think nothing interesting is about to happen. But oh, just you wait. Okay, so to really get what's going on, you got to understand the basic math of bridge. Players value their hands using what's called high card points, or HCP. An ace is 4 points, king is 3, and so on. Now with a balanced hand, if your point count lands somewhere between 15 and 17, a 1-no trump opening bid is pretty much your go-to move. This 1NT bid is an incredibly powerful piece of communication. It's like sending a coded message to your partner that says, hey, I've got this very specific strength, we're talking 15 to 17 points, and my hand is balanced, so no crazy long suits. It gives your partner a ton of information right from the start. And wouldn't you know it, Timmy's sitting there with exactly 15 high card points in a balanced hand. So for him, the choice is a no-brainer. He bids 1NT, totally textbook. At this point, everything is going just like you'd expect.
Okay, but this is where things stop being ordinary. The bidding is about to go off the rails. The stakes are going to get way, way higher, and someone is about to make a huge gamble.
So here's how it all went down. Timmy makes his standard 1NT bid. Then boom, George, one of the opponents, doubles. I mean, that's an aggressive move right out of the gate. But does Andrew, Timmy's partner, flinch? Nope. He makes this massive leap straight to 3 no trump. And if you thought that was the end of it, George comes right back over the top and doubles again. The challenge has officially been made. So, what in the world is Andrew trying to do? Well, 3NT is what we call a game contract. That means he and Timmy are promising to win at least 9 of the 13 tricks in the hand. And, get this, they have to do it without the safety net of a trump suit. It's high risk, but man, the reward is huge. So you're probably thinking, is Andrew just being reckless here? And the answer is, not exactly. Let's do the math. Timmy promised around 15 points, right? Andrew's holding 9. Put them together, you get 24 points. Now, the rule of thumb is you need about 25 for a game and no trumps, so yeah, they're on the edge. It's a calculated risk. But here's the most important part. Andrew has no idea about the giant gaping hole in their combined hands.
Okay, let's hit pause for a second. We need to shift perspective. Let's look at what the defenders know. This is the secret information that our heroes, Timmy and Andrew, are totally blind to, and it changes everything.
All right, so you've got our two teams. On one side, you have Timmy and Andrew, the declarers. They've got a respectable 24 points combined. And on the other side, you've got George and Mildred, the defenders, and they are sitting on an absolute bombshell. And here it is, the secret weapon. The total number of aces, the best cards in the deck, held by Timmy and Andrew is 0, a big fat 0. Not 1. They are missing all of them. Which means, you guessed it, the defenders have all 4 of them. And, in fact, George, the guy who was doing all the doubling, is holding every single ace in his hand. This isn't just a good hand. It's an absolutely crushing concentration of power. So really, this whole hand is a tale of 2 risks. You've got Andrew, who risked bidding a borderline game, just hoping for a friendly layout of the cards. And then you have George, who risked doubling for a massive penalty, betting that his 4 aces are an unbeatable knockout punch. It's a total strategic showdown. Now, holding 4 aces is great, but you know what they say? Power is useless without a plan. And George, he has a plan. It's not just random. It's a specific strategy, a playbook that gives him a step-by-step way to guarantee a win here.
This strategy is called the rule of 4A3. Now that might sound complicated, but the core idea is actually pretty simple. George has 4 control cards, his aces. The declarers, Timmy and Andrew, probably only have 3 cards in one of George's long suits. You see the mismatch? He has more aces than they have cards in that suit, and he's about to exploit that brilliantly.
So here's the playbook. This is how it's done. George doesn't just mindlessly play his aces. Step 1, he leads the ace of his longest suit. Then he keeps playing that suit to force all of Timmy and Andrew's cards out. Now he needs to get back on lead, so he uses a second ace in a different suit. He plays his long suit again until the declarers are completely out of it. He needs the lead one more time, so he uses his third ace. And then, bam, the little card he had left in his long suit, it's now a guaranteed winner. It is a thing of beauty, a defensive masterclass. Now here's something really cool, a key strategic point. A beginner, seeing 4 aces, would probably just cash them out immediately. Boom, 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 4 tricks. But that is a huge mistake. It actually helps the other team get set up. The real genius here is patience. It's timing. It's using those aces not just to win tricks, but to set up other tricks down the line.
So how does this all end? And more importantly, what's the big lesson here? What can we take away from this one hand of cards that, applies to more than just bridge? This is where we get into the really universal stuff about strategy.
So let's go back to our original question. Can you actually win 3NT with 0 aces? Well, theoretically, maybe. If every single other card fell in the most perfect way imaginable, it's possible. But the second a skilled defender comes at you with a methodical plan like the rule of 4A3, your chances just drop to basically 0. In the end, a powerful hand was just no match for a more powerful plan.
So let's boil this all down to the key takeaways. First, strategy is all about making the best call you can with the information you have right now, not with perfect hindsight. Andrew's bid? Based on what he knew, it was a perfectly reasonable, calculated risk. It wasn't a mistake just because it didn't work out. And second, having a huge advantage, like 4 aces, is totally useless if you don't have a smart plan to use it. That's the lesson from George.
Okay, so we've seen what George did, step by step. But to really get why it works so perfectly, we've got to look under the hood. We need to understand the core principle that makes this rule so incredibly powerful.
I mean, it just feels like it shouldn't work, right? How can 4 cards systematically take down a hand that's overflowing with kings and queens? Well, the secret is to stop thinking about the cards in terms of just their point value.
The key here is a concept called the control count, and this has nothing to do with the overall point strength of your hand. It's all about one thing and one thing only, your ability to win a trick, right now, whenever you want. It's about having the power to slam on the brakes and take control of the game.
And the system itself is actually super simple. Only 2 cards matter, aces and kings. An ace gets you 2 control points because it's a guaranteed winner. A king gets you 1 point. And what about the queens and jacks? In the world of control, they're worth 0, nothing.
So let's do the math real quick. George, with his 4 aces, has a control count of 8. And Timmy and Andrew, with all their 4 kings, they have a combined control count of just 4. That is a massive, massive difference.
So now let's look at how this huge imbalance in control just completely dictates the game. This isn't just a slight edge, it's a total strategic knockout.
This chart right here tells the whole story in one picture. George has a control count of 8. Timmy and Andrew together only have 4. He has literally double their ability to stop play and take the lead. This is the entire foundation of his strategy.
And this gets to the real heart of it all, tempo. In a no-trump game, everything comes down to who's in the driver's seat. Who decides which suit gets played and when. If you control the tempo, you control the entire game.
So how does this actually translate into a win? Well, with 8 control points, George can lose the lead and then immediately snatch it back with an ace. He can do this 3 different times, which you'll remember is exactly what he needs for his 7-step plan to work. Timmy and Andrew's 4 control points, it's just not enough to stop him.
And this is such a critical strategic point. If George had just played out all 4 of his aces right at the beginning, sure, he'd have won 4 tricks. But then he'd have given control, the tempo, right back to Timmy and Andrew, letting them win the rest. It's called anticlimactic play because you're basically throwing away your most powerful strategic weapon for a few quick points.
And that really leaves us with this one big question to chew on. Andrew's bold play failed, right? But was it truly a mistake? Or was it actually the right move that just happened to crash into the 1 in a million perfect defense? You know, in any game of calculated risks, whether it's bridge or business or life, that's a question really worth thinking about. So after watching George's incredible defense play out, what's the big lesson? What's the main takeaway from this whole strategic masterclass?
It really all boils down to this. In a strategic fight like this one, control beats raw power. George's ability to take the lead pretty much whenever he wanted was way more important than all of Timmy and Andrew's kings and queens combined. They had a powerful hand, sure, but he had control of the game.
And this really leaves us with a bigger question, one that goes way beyond card games. In any competition, what truly matters more? Just having raw strength or having the strategic power to set the pace and make your opponent play by your rules? It's definitely something to think about.
Subscribe our channel for more videos.